This is the second part of the workshop, and I would like to talk to you a little bit about Thuringia, how to look for an internship. I want to give you I want you to know a little bit about business location Thuringia. What are you doing here? Where have you landed? We can talk about it later as well. I'm very curious to know how you ended up in Thuringia, just as I did. And more importantly, hopefully after this short session, to help you identify the job hunting resources and optimize the opportunities here. Fantastic. So it's not only the green heart of Germany, good for logistics sector, it's also in the middle of Europe. That is also reflected in the number of foreign companies in 2013 that are based here in Thuringia. This is just to give you a small idea of what's going on. It's increased a lot since 2013, but I decided to leave the old numbers out. Maybe you recognize some of your countries. This does not mean that they actually work in Spanish or they actually work in English, but it's just interesting information. I think you recognize many of these logos. Maybe they can be potential employers, maybe not, but there's more to that. This is just a part of a proud selection. We will be prouder once the automotive industry recovers after this scandal. But anyway, it's a good start. And how does a highly educated workforce work in Thuringia? As I said from the beginning on, I'm not going to lie to you. The workforce in Thuringia is very specific. 60%, around 60% of the employees have a professional training or more, or further education in a professional training, and around 17%, 15% are university graduates. That means that we have to fight a little bit more for a job here in Thuringia, but it's not impossible. You can find out more about Thuringia as a business location, the companies that are here, through a couple of information web pages. I told you that I'm going to fly through this because I think that what is relevant for you is to have an idea of where you can find this information, but where you have to invest the time is not in listening to me, how good these web pages are, what the how user-friendly they are or not. Is the references. This is stark and marked. You can change the language, and they are the champions in Thuringia. As you can see, they're organized into 5 different branches, especially relevant for those in a scientific, engineering, technical background. Okay. You can also search not only according to branch, I promise I stop talking about the web pages, but also according to location. Databases. I brought a couple of examples here, but again, I doubt that if I give 100 brochures, you're going to be flipping through them and reading all the information. So here are the reference web pages. What sort of companies are in Thuringia? What are their names? How can I find them? I want to convince you to stay in Thuringia. That is part of my job also, and because I personally also believe it. But if you decide to open your horizons, there's probably company databases for a lot of regions. You just have to look for keywords. The company database and all the different addresses you will get through with the presentation. Why do you think that I'm presenting this? How does this link, for example, to how you can find a job? Company databases, they give you company addresses, company emails, company web pages, and in every company web page there's probably a section work with us. And then you can find out if they have any open positions or decide to send a spontaneous candidacy. Okay? So I'm not crazy. I have enough to say it's not trying to put random information to keep you here from enjoying your weekend. Thuringia is also a region of science. It has 10 universities, universities of applied sciences and universities of comparative education. In order to understand all this, you have to be really familiar with the German education system. What is important is that they have also internships, research, and then that they are focused also of support. Okay, these universities, I mean, you know the webpage of your university, the resources that you have. Many of these universities also organize recruiting events, for example, even if it's not your own university which is organized it, have a look. Which enterprises are going there? Are they interesting for me? And before you go, it's always wise to check, not that you pay you're students, you don't pay for transport. Oh, lucky you. But anyway, it's time, and time is just as important as money. Before you invest the time going all the way to Ilmenau, make sure you know who's going there and if the time is going to be really worth it. Good. Research and development, also in this sort of tone, we have 24 research institutes in Thuringia, according to different branches and specializations. This is rather more relevant for people focusing maybe on trying to do, if they want to do a PhD, but if you want to focus your career in the academic sector, in the research section, it's good to know. And if you want to know more about Thuringia, about the opportunities of international students and graduates, it's organized by the program STAY, and it will be the Bundesagentur für Arbeit, for the Federal Employment Agency of Jena. The contents are the ones that you see here listed. Why has it got an own slide by itself? Because the registration for the presentation ends today. So again, maybe the nitty-gritty part for you, where can I find an internship, where can I find a job? As I said, companies and institution web pages. Of course, online job portals, they general sector specific. We will have a look at it now. Definitely the Federal Employment Agency. Most of the jobs that are available are there. However, we will see a couple of advantages and disadvantages. Private employment agencies, associations, chamber of commerce, network cluster initiatives. Maybe they haven't got openings by themselves, but they have companies, and you can check the website and see if they have any openings, or if you decide to send a spontaneous candidacy. Good. Newspapers, magazines are sometimes still used. Social networks such as Xing and LinkedIn. Xing has a very focus, is the biggest popular professional social network here in Germany, but LinkedIn is has a rather international focus. Of course, I've all said it a couple of times, recruiting events. I'll present you a couple of them, and job fairs. Okay. One of the job portals, and this is not only to do a little bit of Werbung, a little bit of what we do, to show you the applicant job portal of the ThAFF, Thuringian Agency for Marketing Specialized Personnel, where I work, but it's also quite well organized. This means for you, it's very interesting to click on the button just before the whole where it says für Studierende und Absolventen. Those are job listings filtered, which are specially, or in which the recruiter has said, I am interested in students and fresh graduates. There you will not only find internship positions, but also jobs for fresh graduates and Werkstudent positions also. You can filter by keyword and region, and then comes the job opening according to your keywords, or your filters will appear at the bottom. Very important, this is only Thuringian wide. I just got an example from the ThAFF. There are not many job openings in English. This was one of them, but the text is not really important. What I want you to focus in is how to read a job advertisement, which is relevant because you are going to use it as a guide to write your CV. And cover letter, but that I already said we haven't got any time, okay? Whenever you're applying, whenever you're writing your CV, analyze the job advertisement. What are the job requirements? There's normally a section called requirements. Read them through. This makes you eligible for the job. If you haven't got at least 2/3 of these requirements, you're not eligible, you're not able to do this job, you don't fit this position. Okay. Responsibilities, that is what you're going to do in your future job, in your future internship. Make sure you link it through your CV and your motivation letter somehow, to show motivation, that you're willing, that you want to do this job, or maybe that you already have done some of these things and that you are an advantage for the organization. I would say don't simply repeat whatever is in the job description, internship description in your CV or cover letter, but do use similar, because if you're going to be scanned by some sort of scanning computer, especially in job application portals, it's going to filter similar terms. So make sure that you are able to pass this first filter. Okay, don't shoot yourself in the foot, basically. Tailor again your CV. What are the relevant skills that you have for the job? It's a mixture of responsibility and requirements. Very important. Send your application as specified. There's normally an information at the bottom. It says for further information, or send your application to Mrs. Moller under this address, email address. Then send it to Mrs. Moller under that address and address the cover letter to that person. Basically, don't ignore the description. Okay, but a lot of people forget to match the two things. Use the job application, use the job description as a guide to write your CV and motivation letter. This is an ideal job description. Some are not that well written, so you are going to have to use more of your imagination that you maybe want. Definitely, and lastly, check what you have to send. Are there any further documents required? If they're not listed, don't send them. Don't overdo it. Okay? Good. This was just an example, and I continue. How to use job portals. This is, for example, the job platform from the Federal Employment Agency. What is relevant for you? Here is the button to look for a job, for Arbeitssuchend. Okay? And you can change the language here. So you're able to navigate this website in a different language, in English. However, the job descriptions, they won't be translated. It's only the framework. Maybe for you interesting, you will find them in the Agentur für Arbeit, but you can also find them online. User instructions and videos in English and Spanish, definitely. And brochures in over 12 languages of how to use the job portal. Okay? Other job portals, the Agentur für Arbeit has been nice to us and has given us an alphabetically list of other job portals. Again, don't be disappointed if you find the same job in 5 different portals. Many of them are just interlinking their meta searching machines. Okay? But it's just for you important to know. Where can you get further information on how to apply other job portals, in information portals that are aimed at international students and international workers, such as Making in Germany or the Fachkräfteoffensiv? Probably you know these portals. If not, it's a good reference for first information and then to go deeper on the subject. If you were to have also any questions on your status, what happens to me after that, family reunification, you can always ask us if you haven't got the time or for whatever reason you want to speak to somebody else. Their hotline is very informative. There are also specialized job portals, for example, for policy. I come from this sector, so I know quite a few. If you want some tips, let me know. Portals for young professionals. This is maybe relevant especially for you, because it means that the job offers, internship offers that are published in this sort of job portals are aimed at you. Okay? It's enterprises that are not specifically looking for people with 15 years of experience. Good. There are also branch-specific or profession-specific job portals, such as in engineering. I just put 2 examples. And if you're interested in research and pursuing a career there, there's also very specific job portals, not only for funding, but also for projects. I mean, if there's anybody interested or already doing a PhD, you'll probably know most of them. The company database of Thuringia, this is the German version, and I put in the screenshots so that you could see that you could filter according to branch in which they are active. You can also do it according to city, for example, or kilometers away from your house. keep an open mind. That's what I recommend to you, okay? Again, not a job portal. The contact details that appear in this company database are not necessarily the contact details of the human resources department. So you still have to do your own digging, okay? Good. Now, one of my favorite events, recruiting events, job fairs. I always have to start here, and I brought a couple of flyers. You'll see my colleagues giving out freebies before the event. It takes place every year in December in the Messe Erfurt. This year is on the 3rd of December. We are now in Jena. I keep forgetting that you students can travel for... Okay, you can travel for free, but if you were to have to pay a ticket, no need. Once you're in Erfurt, there's also a shuttle bus. What is very interesting is also the side program. I already told you about the free application photos, but it's also a couple of informative sessions. You will be able to meet new people, meet enterprises, take your CV with you, not a cover letter. But before you go, don't go blindly. Check which enterprises are going. Which one am I interested in? Because I say it again, there's no second chance to make a first impression. And if you turn up and stand like, what you doing? It's probably not going to be the best impression, okay? They're there in order to recruit people, to get to know possible candidates. And you want to give this professionally neat impression. Another event that may be of your interest is the Absolventenmesse Mitteldeutschland. It takes place next week, and Absolventen is graduates. So again, it may be interesting for you. Again, this is in Leipzig. This you'll have to pay to get there. So don't blindly drive there. Check who's going. Not all the recruitment events, not all job fairs are free of charge. Have a look as well. Have a look at the side program. Inform yourself. That's the bottom line. Inform yourselves. Where do you find all these events, all these fairs? You can check, for example, in our website, in the ThAFF, and then you'll find the link. Veranstaltungen, those are activities, events. It's really up to date. This event was also open in our website, that's how you signed up. Good, for example. Professional social networking sites, very, very important. There are some companies that only recruit through these media sites, especially big companies, and they headhunt as well, okay? But if you're going to have a profile in Xing or in LinkedIn or in any other professional social networking site, make sure it's up to date. As I said, Google's recruiters, Google. And if they find not up-to-date information about you when you're looking for a position, it doesn't say much about you. I mean, it can say a lot about you. Maybe they don't interpret it like this, but they can interpret it in a negative way. So make sure it's up to date. The difference between LinkedIn, Xing, other professional working sites, and a CV is that this one is rather static. So you're able to elaborate more on each of the points. Okay? Other sources of information, again, depending on what you need. I'm not a big fan of live information, but we are a young generation and it's definitely worth having a look at it. Live information, openings, collaborations, Twitter, Facebook, for example, from the DAAD. This is also very relevant in the DAAD or the Goethe Institute website, because they maybe have a German-Indonesian, German-Spanish website together. So it's relevant information from both sides. Good. Somebody asked on self-employment. I really don't want to go into detail on this, but I will send it with the presentation. I brought flyers of the techs, and these are the addresses of the different consultancy services at the universities if you want to become self-employed. Okay? Services, as far as I'm aware, are free of charge. I don't know until what point, but ask beforehand. Just as a very small summary, signs of a bad application portfolio, we went through most of them beforehand. There's no such thing as a base cover letter, as a base errors in terms of the address. Mr. Muller won't be impressed if you address him as Mrs. Muller. The same as you won't be impressed if they don't even write your name when they write an email back. Okay. Avoiding CV in the cover letter, for example. But as I said, we only had time to go through the cover letter, to go through the CV today. The cover letter is a completely different session, but I don't want to leave you so alone in this process, okay? Don't exaggerate. Untruths don't belong here. No more than 2 pages, taking care of the format. Cheating is not an option with reduced margins or size 8. We're all getting older and need glasses. Make us it easier to read. Definitely, it's not a timeline, it's a CV, so think of the different structures. How am I explaining the gaps in the education? Oh, okay, here's an internship and here's a voluntary program. Fantastic, makes sense, adds up. Okay, check it. Grammar, spelling mistakes, punctuation mistakes. You are bound to be drunk on your own text. It happens. Have somebody read it. Get it back to you. It's not only to check grammar, punctuation mistakes, but if they know you, they can also give you tips. It's like, oh, but you already did that, or I would describe you as a that and that person. Yeah, that's not relevant. Oh yeah, I actually think it's relevant. So work together. Good. Gimmicky fonts, I already said, different font sizes, presentation that doesn't look neat and professional. I don't want to go through it again, but I think that these are very important points, and that is why I'm here. And thank you very much for your attention. If you were to have any more wishes, let me know. I'll be here a little longer. If you want to send me an email or talk to Robert, from the Ernst-Abbe-Hochschule, or to Frau Salheiser here, with any sort of feedback, comments, recommendations, we're always glad to hear. And this is really weird. I have to speak to the people in room 218. Now they're waving back. Yay, thank you. Could one of you please bring the attendees list? Thank you, Juzikowski. Okay, then thank you very much, and I'll be available for any questions that you have now.